Okay, I think this is recording. Is it? Yep. We're going to talk about the Chili Peppers tune. I have sent a tab and a written note version of this that you can refer to. And we're actually going to go through that in depth, maybe not this video, but we will go through that in depth because there's a lot to learn there. But if you have that tab, you can see we're starting up here on the 7th fret of the A string, 3rd dot, 7th fret. And we're going to break down, we're just going to look at this first measure for starters. So we have the 7th fret of the A string, followed by the 7th fret of the G string. So we'll go from the first finger to the second finger. After that, we have the 9th fret of the G string, which we'll get with our pinky, back to the 7th fret of the A string, and then 7th fret of the A string, 7th fret of the G string, 9th fret of the G string, and finally back to the 7th fret of the A string. So in that first measure, we only have 3 different notes. We have an E, a D, an E, an E, an E, a D, an E, and an E. Those notes are played in the same order both times. The rhythm is slightly different from the first 4 notes to the second 4 notes. The first note, low E, is going to be a slap with your thumb, right? And we talked about how that's done. I don't know if I can get this into the video or not, but I'm just going to demonstrate. I can't really get it with the string, but we want that slapping motion very free in the wrist. Just slap, slap, and then we pluck with the first finger to get the upper string. So remember how to do that and even practice that a little bit. Just work on that technique. I'm going to play the first note with my thumb slap, which is what that S is for down below. And then I'm going to play the next note with my index finger, pluck, okay? You'll notice there's a dot over that D, 7th fret of the G string. That's an indication for staccato. We're playing the note short. And then we play the 9th fret, we also play that short, okay? So the first 3 notes we have slap, pluck, pluck, and then slap again. Okay? So those 4 notes, let's just go around a few times on those first 4 notes. Slap, pluck, pluck, slap. Slap, pluck, pluck, slap. Slap, pluck, pluck, slap. Slap, pluck, pluck, slap. Also, you probably notice I borrowed a bass to show this to you. Slap, pluck, pluck, slap. That's the first 2 beats of that measure. So the counting on that is 1 and 2 and. 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 I'm playing it that way because I want you to practice it that way. I want you to break it down and conquer, divide and conquer these different sections of the song. You want to make sure that you don't proceed to the next section until you have the first section done. In this particular case, I'm breaking it down into 2 beat sections. The first 2 beats, 1 and 2 and. 1 and 2 and. 1 and 2 and. Now when we get to the next 2 beats, it's the same 4 notes in the same order. The rhythm, however, is different. Okay? The rhythm of the second is bop, 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 bop. it's useful to have that rhythm well in mind, because when we go on to the next measure, the notes are going to be slightly different, but the rhythm of that second measure is going to be the same as the first measure. So when we put the first measure together, we're going to count slow: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 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 and. Okay? Keep your right hand technique under control. There's a lot going on here. If you need to just work on that right hand, just practicing slapping and plucking the string, do that. Even just play like the first two notes from the E to the D and just go back and forth. That's what I would do. You can hear I'm missing sometimes because I haven't done this in a long time. I can explain how to do it, but because I haven't done it in a long time, I'm not great at it. You want to become great at it. So once again, playing that first measure, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Then that takes us to measure number 2. We're going to slide the first finger back to the 5th fret, but then when we play the D, the high D that's on the 7th fret, we're going to come back. So we're going to go from 5th position back to 7th position. So when we play those first two notes of the second measure, we'll have the D. See, I missed that both times. But that's the way we're going to do it. We're going to go from this D. See how I'm doing that? And then after we play that D, we'll play the E with our pinky again, and then go back to the D. So the four notes in that measure, 1 and 2 and, 1 and 2 and, 1 and 2 and, 1 and 2 and. Same situation for the next two beats in that measure. Same four notes, but with a different rhythm. Right? I didn't play the last note, which is the A, the 5th fret of the low E string. But playing the first 7 notes of that second measure, 1 and 2 and 3 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and. The last note in that second measure is the 5th fret of the low E string, this A note. Right? So playing that entire measure several times in a row, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay? Now I'm going to go back to the beginning and play the first two measures. Keep the count in mind. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. I'm going to do it again. 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and. A is going to take us into the next section. I'm going to play that first line one more time. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, when we get to the next measure, this is actually a little simpler. We're going to start on the 7th fret of the low E string, and we're going to play that along with the 9th fret of the D string. These are those octaves that, remember when you were here, we played that octave exercise. I had you go up and down like this. Well, that has an application here, which is why I hope you've been practicing that. So we're just going to be basically playing an octave between a B and a B. And the timing is pretty straightforward. 1 and 2 and 3 E and 1 and 2 and 3 E and 1 and 2 and 3 E and that's the same rhythm for the last measure. I'm going to play measure 3. 1 and 2 and 3 E and 1 and 2 and 3 E and 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4 and. So we're not playing on 4. That's why you have that rest in there before the last note. 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4 and. Going into the last measure, we basically just slide the first finger up 1 fret, and now we're going to play an octave C, from C on the 8th fret of the low E to C on the 10th fret of the D. Same rhythm. 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4 and. The last note, to add that, we're just going to slide up to this D, which is the 10th fret of the low E string. So we're going from the 8th fret, 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4 and. Okay? So once again, I'm going to play the whole thing for you in a minute. But you need to break it down. Don't be in a hurry to play it. You don't want to play it and have it sound crappy. You want to play it and have it sound good. So make sure your slapping technique is on point. Okay? If I was to play this, if I wanted to play this, I would have to work on my slap technique a little bit. Because as I said, I haven't been playing bass at all. So much more that you need to work on it, because you are going to be a bass player and you want to sound really good. So I'm going to take it from the beginning slow. Just watch the first time through and then see if you can join me on the second time through. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4 and. Then we go back to the beginning. Okay? I'm going to play it again for you. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4 and. Okay? A lot to work on there. I'm going to make another video up next, and I really want to discuss the what's written in the notation part of the exercise here. So pay some attention to that, analyze it a little bit if you can. That's why I kind of broke it down and tried to be very specific about how I was counting it. But work on your slap technique, practice those octaves. Like I said, even just practice the first 2 notes until they sound really good. The first 4 notes, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Make sure you can do that second nature. Second set of 4 notes, 1 and 3 and 3 and 3 and. So the first note to the second note is a little quicker, right? Because the first note is a 16th. So it's getting to the second note a little faster. And then put those 2 together. 1 and 2 and 3 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and. I don't want you going to the second measure until you can play that first measure, say 10 times perfect. Then add the first part of the second measure. And then go back and play it all the way up to there, 10 times perfect. And then add the second part of the second measure, and then go all the way through to there. Gradually put it together like that so that by the time you're done, it sounds great. Okay? So we'll leave it at that. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And just give me a quick feedback letting me know that you got the video and the tab, and that things are clear, that you understand them well enough to practice. Talk to you later. Bye.